In 2020, Adobe Flash died and the world moved on. But for a specific group of Naruto fans, the war was just beginning. This is Unlimited Ninja, a tactical masterpiece from 2013 that survived its own funeral. While most players remember it as a laggy browser game, those of us who stayed know it as a deep, high-stakes strategy RPG. Today, the game lives on through mini-clients like PlayNC 100, preserved like a digital time capsule. But this isn't just a history lesson. It's a story of a community that was forced into exile. We didn't leave the official global servers because we were bored. We left because the game was being held hostage. We fled to the Vietnamese servers looking for a sanctuary, a place where skill actually mattered, and where the will of fire wasn't something you could just buy with a developer's login. Little did we know the Puppet Master was following us. To understand why we fled to the VN side, you have to understand the rot on the global servers. The publishers didn't just want your money, they wanted to control the narrative. They propped up fake whales to set a standard of spending that was impossible for a normal human to reach. The face of this corruption was Savage Gamers, or Freddy. He was the alpha whale everyone looked up to. But the math didn't add up. On the official PlayWeb game PWG channel, he dropped 30,000 gold, a $300 value, on a single pet like the Headless Knight, and still have a mountain of gold left over. He wasn't spending, he was a marketing tool. The developers were printing gold into his account to trigger FOMO in real players. He made the game look like a pay-to-win black hole, and he did it with a smile, lying to the very community that made him famous. We had enough. The community staged a mass migration to the Vietnamese servers, specifically Naruto Chien. This was our sanctuary. The official VN versions kept the VIP 10 cap and the original 2D mechanics, but they gave us the monopoly effect. In Chien, your dollar went 10 times further. For the first time, players who actually knew the mechanics could compete with the top tier without needing a developer sponsorship. It was a golden age. We were building teams based on the noggin, using fury suppression and agility tiers to win battles. We thought we had finally escaped the sponsored puppets of global. We were finally playing the version of Unlimited Ninja we always deserved. A fair, high-stakes tactical RPG where strategy was king and the publishers weren't rigging the leaderboard. But then the unthinkable happened. Freddy followed us. He didn't just show up to play, he showed up to colonize our sanctuary. Savage Gamers appeared on the VN servers, pretending to be one of us, pretending he was finally spending for real. But it was the same old routine. He wasn't there for the community, he was there because the publishers needed a face for the VN migration. He came to our safe haven just to get sponsored again. He was injected with massive amounts of gold to reclaim his god status on a server he didn't even understand. It was the ultimate betrayal. He took our sanctuary and turned it back into a theater of abuse, using his infinite resources to bully players who were actually putting their own hard-earned money into the game. He brought the corruption of global right to our front door. The proof of his second betrayal came in 2020. During a cross-server consumption event on the VN side, Freddy was caught spending a staggering 3.6 million gold. Let's be very clear, even on a high-value VN server, that is an impossible amount for a routine player. I didn't let it slide. I called him out in my video destroying Savage Gamers Aegean. I asked the community, is this man a bad parent spending his kid's college fund, or is he sponsored for the 5th time? The receipts didn't lie. He was crying wolf for months, swearing on his channel that he wasn't a puppet anymore, while the back-end numbers showed he was being fed gold by the bucket load. He was a fraud in 2 languages, and the sanctuary we built was being drowned in his fake wealth. The drama peaked when we finally met in the arena. This wasn't just a match, it was a clash of ideologies. On one side, you had millions of pieces of injected sponsored gold. On the other side, you had strategy and a refusal to be bullied. Freddy was running a meta-heavy team with Tamari and Ino as his supports. On paper, that duo should be an iron wall of crowd control and fury game, but Freddy didn't have the noggin to run them. He thought he could just out-stat me with his fake wealth. He was arrogant, even putting my face in his thumbnails with a kill shot marker. He thought his sponsorship made him invincible. He forgot that Unlimited Ninja is a game of inches, not just a game of wallets. He came into the fight looking for a flex, but he walked right into a trap he wasn't smart enough to see. Let's talk about how real players actually survive. We don't have developers printing gold for us. We have the seed gold meta. To win at Unlimited Ninja, you have to play it like a stock market. The growth plan is your best friend. You hoard your gold, you wait for the 20-day rebate cycles, and you only spend what you get back as profit. It takes extreme discipline. If you break the loop and spend your seed gold on a new ninja, your account is dead for 3 months. This is the patience the publishers hate. They want you to be like Freddy, impulsive and loud. But the real legends of this game are the free-to-play grinders who have stacked 500,000 gold simply by understanding the rebate math. That is the true will of fire, discipline over the top-up button. The depth of this game is also its greatest trap, the power creep. We went from gold ninjas to red, then Genesis, and eventually transcendent tiers. Each tier introduced game-breaking passives like instant death triggers and fury suppression auras. If you weren't upgrading your tavern every single week, your team became obsolete. This is where the publishers really squeezed us. They'd release a counter ninja to the current meta, wait for everyone to top up, and then release a counter to the counter 2 weeks later. It was a relentless treadmill. This is why the VN servers were so attractive. They made this treadmill affordable, but it also meant the meta moved at light speed. If you blinked, your $200 investment from last month was suddenly fodder for the new tavern recruits. Let's bring some clarity to the chaos. Every story has a beginning, and ours started on September 23rd, 2013. It was the Wild West of browser gaming. You could find us across a fractured landscape, Anime Ninja, Ninja Classic, and Unlimited Ninja. We were everywhere, even embedded in the walls of Facebook, but the peace didn't last. By 2015, the Great Identity Seal was cast. Bandai moved in with the lawyers, and the developers performed a desperate reskin jutsu to survive. It was a fever dream. Itachi was stripped of his lineage and renamed simply as Crow. The tailed beasts were replaced by rushed, non-themed monstrosities. Most evidence of this era has been wiped from the internet. But those of us who were there, we remember the cost. Eventually, the publishers grew tired of the constant legal battles. The platforms merged into one, and the game moved further into the shadows. Because this is now a gray market relic, the official name stays buried. That is my part in this, to protect the flame from a storm that would blow it out. Between 2015 and 2019, a phantom version emerged from the mist, the VN version. Its exact release date remains unknown to this day, a secret scroll lost in time. But while the origins were becoming a mystery, the gameplay was evolving into something much more intense. We were moving away from the browser era and toward a new battlefield. By late 2019, Chien and its sister platforms rose to power. This led us directly into 2020, the year of the Gacha Beast versus Savage Gamers. That was my peak. That was the era of the high stakes meta. I dropped $2,000 into my Chien whale account back then, pushing the limits of what a shinobi could achieve. But in this world, nothing is permanent. In 2026, the service finally went dark. Most of my footage from those days is unlisted now, hidden away like forbidden intel. But I'm beginning a remaster, a return to the Unlimited Ninja VN Saga, starting from the very first breath of that whale account. Presently, the game remains a shadow game. It is a forbidden world, playable only to the shinobi who still know the ninja way. I'm doing my part to ensure this legacy doesn't vanish entirely. If you feel the call to play, you must seek the coordinates. Join my Discord to find the way. The game still has its own official headquarters, but the inner circle, the ones who know the untold story, stays here. The will of fire still burns within this community. We are the guardians of a hidden history, and as long as we keep the name silent, the flame stays alive.